Hey guys, Happy New Year. If you haven't seen my previous video, because this is kind of a follow-up, make sure to watch it here. So I wanted to talk to you guys today because I've been slowly learning about how to see visual perspective more. And this book illustrates a point that I was talking about in my previous video, which is left brain versus right brain learning. Before we keep going with this, we got to back it up and explain to you guys what I mean by left brain or right brain. So there's two things about the brain, the human brain, you have to understand. First of all, the human brain, because of evolution, is built through layers. So there's a layer that's called the R complex, or you can just consider it the reptilian brain. Basically, this part is our basic functions. If this part malfunctions, we are, right? So after that, there's the lower mammalian brain. This is the layer with the emotions, etc., memories, etc. So this is the layer oftentimes responsible for some of the things that we would want to not have in life. Certain eating patterns, certain sleeping patterns, certain feelings. And then the top layer, the layer that most people think about when it comes to the brain, is the higher mammal part of the brain. This is, quote unquote, where intelligence and our abilities and our creativity comes from. So that's the first thing to know. The human brain has layers. The second thing to know is that the human brain is lateralized. Lateralization, what does it mean? It means that there's two sides, basically, especially in the higher mammal parts, the two sides, and it crosses. So the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body, and the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. And even more importantly, when it comes to this lateralization, is that the two sides of the brain don't exactly have the same function. And how they actually work together is there's a very big part of the brain called the corpus callosum, and it connects these two hemispheres. So another word is hemispherization. So the brain has layers, and what we're talking about is the topmost advanced / intelligent layer, the higher mammal layer, and it's hemispherized / lateralized. So once you learn that, now you're able to follow what I'm talking about. So last video, we talked about left brain versus right brain learning. Now the left brain is usually considered more logical, more planning based, more verbal, and the right brain is more abstract, more creative, although the word creative is probably too subjective, but it's more abstract. It sees more of the whole. It's more artistic, although that's also subjective. The point is, the speaking part, the part that puts things into categories, is the left side, and the right side is the part that sometimes you would consider is that woo abstract part. And of course, I have to mention the two sides are working together. So don't take this paradigm I'm giving you and consider it an absolute, like only this side is artistic or only this side is logical or verbal. They work together. But that being said, there is specialization and differentiation. And that's kind of what prompted me to think about this more, make a follow-up video. So a lot of you who've studied drawing or studied pictures or studied anything that tries to project a 3D image onto a 2D surface know something called perspective. Now, the whole point of perspective is how can you make something look 3D when it's on a 2D surface? And that's what this book is talking about. See, this book is a 2D surface, but why does this look 3D? How do you draw something that's supposed to be 3D? So it takes some thinking, some logical, some abstract thinking to think about how do the eyes and the brain perceive something that's from a 3D world into a 2D surface, but then think of it as 3D. A little bit of a crazy little abstraction, right? So the first image I'm going to show you, I just got a text, by the way, so I'm going to respond to my buddy. By the way, shout out to Ashvin. So check this picture out. Okay, check this out. So look at this for a second. Now, if you look at the picture right here, what I'm going to tell you to do is that word eye level, just pretend you don't see it. Pretend you don't even see that word. I will guarantee you, even without labeling it, none of these words, see right here, you're still going to understand it. You're still going to understand what this is trying to show. So this is an example of, you could have easily used your right brain, the more abstract that part of the brain, to understand what this is getting at. You did not need to give this a label. So why is this important? If it is true, our assumption is the right brain's more creative. The right brain is your quote unquote more artistic part of your soul or whatever. If you're gonna learn drawing, which most tasks are using both sides of the brain, if you're gonna learn drawing or perspective for photography, and immediately you start going left brain, right? Verbal, explaining, categorization. You start using this part, the left part, the not so creative part of your brain, to compensate, to dominate the learning. I don't know if this is the most effective thing. Assuming that you guys can see what I see, which is even if I took out that label eye level, I'd be able to understand what this is trying to show. Right? This is trying to show a certain type of perspective. This is called one-point perspective. Again, I don't even need to give it that name because inherently, if you just look at this, your right brain's going to understand what this is trying to get at. So, what are we talking about? Our brains work together, but they also have specialization in each hemisphere. If you're going to learn, and you're going to learn in a way that always lets this part dominate this part, they're working together, but of course, they're separate functions. So if you're going to favor this part over this part, I don't know if that's the right way to learn, especially if it's a task that you're supposed to use more of this part, the abstract, artistic part of your brain. So think about that for a second. I'm going to give you another picture. Now, before I give you this other one, this one is extra intimidating, but I will explain to you. So I promise you, if you stick with this, don't get discouraged and immediately tune off, okay? Because it took me about 2 minutes to understand what this is trying to get at. Before I even show this, I've definitely made a video on this. It's just been so many years, I don't remember what it was called, what the title is. But there's a very famous book called Flatland. And if you've read Flatland, you'll very, very interestingly understand this diagram I'm about to show you better. So Flatland is kind of a science fiction slash almost a social commentary novel that was written, I believe, in the Victorian age. Crazy, crazy book that was ahead of its time. But it supposes, imagine a 3D object going into a 2D world, two-dimensional world, studying their society and trying to explain to them what the third dimension is. So the book is a wonderful, wonderful, you could call it a cross-lateral. Cross-lateral means using both sides of the brain. Cross-lateral exploration into both metaphysics, philosophy, political theory, etc. So I highly recommend this book, Flatland. But going back to this. Guys, I promise you, look at this first. I will explain this to you. Check out this diagram. Again, laugh, whatever, make fun of this, okay? What the heck is this trying to show? Okay, what the heck is this trying to show? Look at it for another few seconds, and I will explain this to you. So when I first looked at it, I said, how is this helping me understand two-point perspective? And then I realized this is a very left brain way to try to explain things that fails miserably. Because what it's trying to do is it's trying to help you visualize by looking from above. Imagine you're looking from above, okay? And this is what you would see if you were looking from above. But does it explain it this way? It does not explain it this way. It tries and fails miserably to use left brain ways to explain something that your right brain will be able to abstract very easily. All your right brain has to understand is, I am looking from above. So this thing called the tact, that's you. That's the observer looking here. And I am looking from above. Then you'll understand all of this. But it doesn't do it. So this is an example of trying to help the left brain see what the right brain will naturally understand, but confusing both your left brain and your right brain. So why do I mention Flatland? So if you've read Flatland, there's a part, basically think about it this way. If I were a three-dimensional object looking at a two-dimensional society, I would literally look down and see the insides of their shape. On 2 dimensions, so if they were two-dimensional, they would only be able to see lines. But if I were three-dimensional, I would look above and see shapes. And that's what this is basically showing. There's a very famous little section in Flatland where a sphere, as in a round three-dimensional object, is going into the two-dimensional surface and trying to tell the Flatlanders, hey, look, you do understand the world's actually three-dimensional. Let me show you. So the sphere goes through the two-dimensional surface. Imagine this is a two-dimensional surface. So the sphere goes through the two-dimensional surface, and it's trying to show them, look, you see? You see? But people in the second dimension, without the concept of thickness, what do they see? They see the sphere as starting out as a point, and then it becomes a line, and the line grows thicker and thicker and thicker, and then it goes smaller and smaller, becomes a point, and then it disappears. That's what they see. Because to them, there's no concept of this dimension. So when the sphere is going through their two-dimensional surface, all they see is the tip of the sphere, right, bisected by a plane. So it starts out as a point, then it becomes a little line that grows bigger until the maximum diameter of the sphere. Then when the sphere is going through, the diameter shrinks until it becomes a little point. So in case you guys like that type of abstraction, what I'm giving you right now is a very right brain way to see the world. But this was a life-changing way of thinking about shapes, thinking about dimensions for me. So I hope to pass it to you guys. I hope you guys will think about it differently. Anyways, going back to this. So this is trying to show, if you were looking from above, don't think tack, think observer. You are here, for lack of a better word, and you are looking at a cube, and you are looking at the perspective of the cube. How would it affect your perspective, right? How would the 2 points line up, the vanishing points? Where's the horizon line? Again, those are all left brain concepts. But look, you're looking from above. I'm looking from above. Now, turn it so I am now standing here, and I'm looking at the sphere. Did I say sphere? Sorry. I'm looking. See, it doesn't matter. Looking at the shape. Just call it a shape. You don't even have to call it something. The more you call it things, the more you're using your left brain. So, very, very bad left brain explanation that only confuses. All you needed was to understand you're looking from above. Now you're standing right here, and you're looking this way. Looking this way. That's all you need to know. So I hope these 2 examples show you there's definitely, even among artists, this guy's an artist and he can't really explain drawing. He can't explain perspective, which is an important part of just visual perception in general. He can't explain perspective from a right-brained way. And why am I able to see this? Because as you guys know, if you follow my videos for many, many years, I used to be left-handed when I was a baby, and then my parents switched me over for various reasons. But my left brain has an advantage. Did I say left brain? Sorry. My right brain has an advantage that a lot of people probably don't have. So I guess in a way I'm very blessed that even though I'm super logical, I'm very left-brained because I'm right-handed, I still have this yearning for my right brain to come out. So you never lose the genetic advantage, right, that you were born with. So no matter how right-handed / left brain I train myself, my left side, aka my right brain, these abstract, creative, musical, etc. parts just want stimulation and need stimulation. So anyways, we talked about a lot of stuff, and I hope this gives you different ways to think about stuff. If something's not making sense logically, maybe there's a way to see it with your right brain. What there is, I don't know, because this is just the beginning of my journey thinking about this stuff. But I can guarantee you guys, there's a way to learn better if you engage both sides of your brain, let them work together, maybe even let the right side dominate once in a while instead of just letting the left side dominate all the time, which inherently we're doing even if we don't consciously understand that. So the first step is see what tasks, what things we're doing where we don't need the left side to dominate, but we are. Second is, okay, well, now we know that. What tasks maybe we do need the left side to really dominate, right? I'm not saying don't let the left side of your brain dominate you. I'm just saying be conscious. What tasks do we potentially need the right side to really dominate? And then potentially what tasks do we need both sides to work equally hard? And then you could also extrapolate from that. What tasks do we not need the top advanced layers of our brain? Just trust the limbic layer or trust the R layer, R layer, not the right side R, like the reptilian layer. So, Happy New Year, guys. This was definitely a different talk, but this is something I've been thinking about dearly. And this is probably what I'm going to be working on in my 30s because I had a feeling that there was something missing in the way I was looking at the world. And as you guys know, in LA, there's a lot of people I consider woo-woo people, or a lot of people who seem so out of touch with their left brain. And I used to judge them. I used to stay away from them. But now I realize maybe they're onto something. Don't shut off your left brain. But the fact that they're really actively developing the right brain a lot, that's not a bad thing. You just need the balance. Like with anything in life, don't let the left side get too strong. Don't let the right side get too strong either. Have a balance. And because I was born left-handed, and I wish I was still left-handed, maybe let the right side of your brain be slightly stronger. I think that would be really good for society, but don't go overboard because then you get into a lot of cringe territory that I can tell you many, 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 many stories about. Okay, guys, this was a fun talk, man. What do you guys think, dude? I am having a lot of fun. 2016, when I used to just talk, this is what I would do. And because I'm talking about stuff I really am passionate about and thought about a lot, notice, people, I haven't used many filler words. I'm just naturally talking. So, guys, happy 2023. Lots more to come on this. If you guys want some of the stuff that made this channel super popular back in 2018, I will tell you now, it's probably not going to happen. So feel free to leave. I'm telling you. But this is what we're going to be really thinking about. I want to give a shout out to a viewer, and I'm actually going to devote another video to this. So this is just a preview, but the viewer called me a polymath. I've never heard that term, but I had to look up that term, and then I realized, okay, this is a cool way to think about it. I got another way to think about this, which I'll show you guys next video. But this viewer, which I'll give you a name-dropped shout-out next video, said I was a polymath. And I said, oh, that's a pretty cool way to think about this channel. It's a polymath way of looking at the world. Okay, guys, talk to you guys soon.